Imagine holding a single penny in your hand. A coin so ordinary, so unremarkable, that most people would toss it into a change jar without a second thought. But what if that same penny could change your life forever? What if it was worth nearly $1 million? Today, we're diving deep into the story of the 1964 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that shouldn't even exist, yet has stunned collectors, investors, and historians across the world. A coin so rare that one recently surfaced with an estimated market value of $964,000. That's right, close to $1 million for a single cent. But before we explore how this happened and why this coin is worth more than most homes, let's pause for a second. When was the last time you looked closely at your loose change? Could you be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it? Let's find out. The story begins in the mid-1960s, a period of economic uncertainty and major change in U.S. coinage. In 1964, the U.S. Mint made a crucial decision: to discontinue the beloved wheat Lincoln cent design and transition fully to the Lincoln Memorial reverse. Officially, the wheat penny had been retired in 1958. So why does a 1964 wheat penny even exist? That's the mystery. Some experts believe that a tiny number of wheat reverse dies, the metal stamps used to press the coin's design, were accidentally left over in the Denver Mint during the 1964 production run. Others whisper about a more secretive story, that a few mint workers, realizing the significance of these old dies, struck a handful of coins for private collectors, never expecting they'd one day become legendary. Whatever the truth, what we know is this: only a few authentic 1964 wheat pennies have ever been confirmed, and each one is worth a small fortune. Here's where things get fascinating. The 1964 wheat penny doesn't just defy logic. It challenges everything we thought we knew about coin minting history. It represents a crossover, a transitional anomaly, where two eras of American coinage collided. Think about that. A coin that bridges the gap between the end of the wheat design and the dawn of the memorial era. Now, you might be thinking, all right, but how do I know if I have one? Hold that thought, we'll get to the signs in just a moment. But first, let's take a closer look at why collectors are paying close to $1 million for this tiny piece of copper. It's all about rarity, demand, and story. Rarity, because almost none of these coins were ever supposed to leave the mint. Demand, because the 1964 wheat is a perfect blend of historical accident and aesthetic beauty. And story, because behind every legendary coin lies a story of mystery, human error, and unimaginable discovery. Imagine this. You're a lifelong collector, flipping through a pile of ordinary wheat pennies at a local coin show. Then, your eye catches something unusual. The date reads 1964. You flip it over, and there it is, the iconic wheat reverse. Your heart skips a beat. Could it be? That's exactly what happened to one lucky collector in 2023. That coin, authenticated by PCGS and graded MS-65 red, sold at a private auction for an astonishing $964,000. The news sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. But let's be honest, it's not just about the money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the possibility that something extraordinary could be hiding in plain sight. Still, here's where most people miss out. While they dream about striking it rich, they never actually take the time to learn what to look for. And that's exactly what separates the dreamers from the discoverers. So, here's your wake-up call. If you want to know whether your old pennies could be worth a fortune, start with the basics. Check the date, 1964. Look for the small D mint mark below the date, indicating it was struck in Denver. Then, flip it over. If you see the familiar wheat stalks on the back instead of the Lincoln Memorial, stop everything you're doing, because you might be holding one of the most valuable coins in American history. But here's a word of caution. The coin market is full of replicas, counterfeits, and altered pieces designed to fool even experienced collectors. Many fake 1964 wheat pennies are regular 1958 or 1956 coins that have been modified. Others are artificially aged to look authentic. That's why authentication is everything. Before you even think of selling or celebrating, have your coin professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. One genuine coin could fund your retirement, but a fake could leave you empty-handed. And speaking of value, let's talk about what drives it higher. Condition is king. The closer your coin is to perfect, the higher the value. Coins graded MS, or mint state, are flawless, with original shine and no scratches from circulation. A 1964 wheat penny in mint state red can command staggering prices, while even a slightly worn example could fetch tens of thousands. Then there's provenance. If your coin can be traced back to a verified discovery or auction, its value skyrockets even further. Collectors pay not just for the metal, but for the story behind it. Now, here's something most people don't realize: the value of rare coins isn't static. It grows. As time passes and fewer pristine examples survive, scarcity increases, and so does demand. That's why the 1964 wheat penny has continued climbing in value, year after year. And this leads us to a deeper truth. Owning a coin like this isn't just about profit. It's about owning a piece of American history, a silent witness to an era when every cent mattered, when craftsmanship was a point of pride, and when small mistakes could create treasures beyond imagination. But let's pause for a moment. Have you ever thought about how many times we overlook opportunities because they don't look like opportunities? How often do we assume something ordinary holds no value when in reality it might hold the key to financial freedom? That's the magic of coin collecting and the lesson of the 1964 wheat penny. And here's a funny thought. While most people are busy chasing digital currencies and NFTs, the humble penny, a piece of metal most folks ignore, could be worth more than all of that combined. Who knew the path to wealth could begin in your pocket change? So, what does all this mean for you? It means that the next time you find an old jar of coins, you don't just see copper and nickel. You see potential. You see legacy. You see a story that could rewrite your financial destiny. Because somewhere out there, in an attic, a basement, or an old coffee can, another 1964 wheat penny is waiting to be found. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be the one who finds it. Still, time is a factor. The longer these coins circulate, the more they disappear. Collectors are snapping them up, investors are holding them, and every year, the odds of discovery shrink. That's the urgency of it all. The chance to strike gold and copper is fading fast. And if you think these coins are just collectors' toys, think again. High-end investors are now treating rare coins as serious assets, inflation-resistant, history-backed, and emotionally powerful. Some of the wealthiest people in America are quietly building coin portfolios worth millions. Why? Because they know that value isn't just in paper. It's in permanence. So, if you've ever dreamed of wealth, of freedom, of leaving something meaningful behind, maybe it's time to start looking a little closer at the change in your hand. Because that one overlooked penny could be your turning point. Let's face it, opportunities rarely announce themselves. They hide behind ordinary moments, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. And the 1964 wheat penny is the perfect example. A 1-cent miracle that rewards those who dare to look deeper. Now, as we near the end of this journey, imagine this. It's a few months from now. You've gone through your old coins, checked every wheat penny you own. You're about to give up, and then you see it.
1964 a D, mint mark.
Wheat stalks gleaming under the light. You feel your heart racing as you realize what's in your hands. That's the moment collectors dream of. The moment your curiosity turns into discovery, and your discovery turns into freedom. So don't wait. Don't assume. And don't underestimate the power of the smallest details. The next great fortune might not be hiding in stocks, real estate, or crypto, but right there, in your change jar. And when people ask how you built your wealth, you'll smile and say, it all started with a penny. Because sometimes the tiniest coin can lead to the biggest breakthrough, if you're wise enough to see its worth. Imagine holding a single penny, a coin so small, so ordinary, that most people would never give it a second glance. Yet, this tiny copper piece, minted in 1968 at the San Francisco Mint, has shocked collectors and experts alike, fetching prices close to $1 million. 1 cent transformed into a fortune. Sounds unbelievable, right? But that's the power of rarity, history, and a little bit of mystery. Before you even blink, this story will make you question every coin you've ever handled. Because somewhere, hiding in drawers, jars, or old coffee tins across America, could be one of the rarest wheat Lincoln pennies ever struck. The 1968 South Mint Mark Center worth up to $968,000. And if you own one, your life could change overnight. But first, let's step back. What makes a simple penny capable of turning ordinary people into millionaires? What secret does the 1968 South Lincoln Center carry that has collectors willing to pay a fortune? The answer begins not in wealth or fame, but in a mistake, a rare, almost invisible error that has become the holy grail for coin hunters. In 1968, the San Francisco Mint was tasked with producing proof coins with a mirror-like finish struck specifically for collectors. But somewhere in the chaos of production, a few rare pieces slipped through the cracks. They weren't supposed to exist. They weren't supposed to leave the mint. Yet they did. And today, they are worth nearly $1 million each. It's not every day that a minting error becomes the stuff of legends. But when it does, history remembers. Imagine this. You're emptying an old change jar, and you notice a 1968 penny with the tiny letter S just below the date. It looks like any other coin, maybe even tarnished or dull. But what if that S was stamped by hand, slightly misaligned, or too shallow to be typical? What if your penny was one of those legendary coins that slipped into circulation undetected? That's when your heart starts to race. Because at that moment, you realize you could be holding a fortune. The 1968 penny is not valuable because it's old. It's valuable because it's unique. There are countless 1968 Lincoln cents, but only a select few proof errors or special strike variations have survived. Some have doubled dies on Liberty or In God We Trust. Others have rare surface anomalies caused by minting pressure. These microdetails separate an ordinary coin from one that collectors will pay 6 or even 7 figures for. Now, let's dig a little deeper because this is where things get fascinating. When experts talk about the 1968 Wheat Lincoln penny, they're not just referring to age or scarcity. They're talking about craftsmanship, precision, and the human element behind the minting process. Every coin tells a story, and this one tells the story of human error meeting historical timing. Think about it. 1968 was a year of immense change in America. The country was in turmoil, innovation was exploding, and the U.S. Mint was transitioning to new processes and technologies. Amid this evolution, a few extraordinary coins escaped quality control, coins that were never meant to circulate. Each of those coins carries a piece of history, a fingerprint of imperfection that now commands nearly $1 million in the modern market. It's poetic, isn't it? The coin that was never supposed to exist is now one of the most sought-after treasures in American numismatic history. But here's the catch, and here's where excitement turns into suspense. Not every 1968 penny is valuable. In fact, 99.999% of them are worth exactly 1 cent. So how do you tell the difference? How do you know if you're sitting on $1 million mistake or just another penny from your childhood piggy bank? You start by looking closely, very closely. Take a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe and examine the date and mint mark. On rare 1968 proof varieties, you'll notice a doubling effect. Tiny, ghost-like outlines around the letters and numbers. This doubling happens when the die strikes the coin twice, slightly misaligned each time. It's subtle, but once you see it, you'll never unsee it. The Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date itself may appear to have shadows or thickness in unusual places. Another telltale sign is the texture. Genuine proof coins have a mirror-like surface, while regular circulation coins have a matte finish. If you find a coin with both qualities, proof-like surfaces but signs of circulation, you might be looking at a mint error that escaped the San Francisco facility. And here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. Some of these rare 1968 varieties were struck using proof dies on business strike planchets. That means they were hybrids, neither fully proof nor fully circulation coins. They were anomalies, and that anomaly is what makes them priceless. One such coin sold for a staggering $968,000 at auction. An unassuming penny that shocked even seasoned experts. The bidding war was fierce, and when the hammer finally fell, it became one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever sold. Imagine that. Something you could find in a box of old coins at a yard sale, worth almost $1 million. Now, before you rush to grab your coin jar, let's pause for a reality check, because not every story ends with a payday. Many people think they've struck gold, only to discover their coin is a common variety. That's why verification matters. Always consult professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. They have the technology to identify genuine mint errors and authenticate your coin's rarity. But here's the twist. While most coins lose value over time, rare error coins like the 1968S have done the exact opposite. Their value keeps climbing. Why? Because collectors crave stories. And this coin has one of the most powerful stories ever told in numismatics. It's the tale of an accident that became an opportunity, a symbol of how imperfection can turn into perfection when viewed through the lens of rarity. Now, let's reset your attention for a second, because you might be thinking, a penny worth nearly $1 million? That's insane. But remember, people once said the same thing about the 1943 copper penny, and one of those sold for $1.7 million. So yes, it can happen again. And here's a little humor to keep things light. Think of all those times you left pennies on a gas station counter or tossed them into a wishing fountain. You could have been giving away your first million. But jokes aside, this story isn't just about coins, it's about potential. It's about how something overlooked and undervalued can hold unimaginable worth. And isn't that a metaphor for life itself? The treasures we seek often hide in plain sight, waiting for us to look closer, to recognize their true value. The rare 1968S Lincoln penny reminds us that every coin has a past, every collector has a dream, and every dreamer has a chance, if they're willing to look where others don't. Now, picture this. You find one of these rare coins. You send it in for grading, your heart pounding as you wait for the results. Days pass. Then, the email arrives, your coin is verified as an ultra-rare mint error. You stare at the screen, hands trembling, realizing that one small piece of copper could buy you a home, a car, maybe even fund your retirement. That's the kind of discovery that changes everything. And it's not just about the money. It's about the thrill, the adventure, the idea that treasures from America's past are still out there, waiting to be rediscovered by ordinary people like you. That's why collectors keep searching. That's why the market keeps growing. And that's why coins like the 1968 South Wheat Lincoln Center continue to captivate hearts and wallets alike. Here's another thought. If coins this rare can still be found in circulation, or in old collections passed down through generations, then the next millionaire might already be holding their fortune without even realizing it. That's where urgency comes in. Because as awareness spreads, as more people start checking their coins, the chance to find these hidden gems gets slimmer. The early bird doesn't just get the worm, it gets the wealth. So after this video, take action. Go through your old coin jars, your inherited collections, your childhood piggy banks. Don't assume anything is worthless. Because history has shown us that sometimes, the smallest details, like a doubled S or a faint outline, can unlock the biggest rewards. Here's the exciting part. Even if you don't find a 1968S worth $968,000, you might still uncover other valuable coins. Rare 1972 double dies, 1955 errors, or even a 1943 copper cent. Every search adds to your knowledge, your passion, and maybe your bank account. And if you're serious about selling, don't just hand your coin to the first dealer who offers cash. Research, authenticate, and auction through reputable platforms. Knowledge is your greatest currency, and in the end, the story of the 1968S Wheat Lincoln penny is more than just a tale of rarity. It's a reminder that fortune favors the curious. That wealth isn't always about luck. It's about awareness, timing, and the courage to look deeper. So, the next time a penny slips into your hand, don't dismiss it. Hold it up to the light, examine its date, and ask yourself, could this be the one? Could this tiny copper coin be the key to a new chapter in your life? Because somewhere out there, hidden in plain sight, lies a penny worth $968,000. And someone, maybe you, will be the one to find it. Picture this, a small copper coin minted in 1978, stamped with a simple D under the date, turning ordinary people into overnight millionaires. That's not fantasy. That's the story of the 1978 D Lincoln cent that has taken collectors by storm, recently selling for an astonishing $978,000. A penny. Yes, a single cent, nearly reaching $1 million mark. Before you roll your eyes and say, come on, how could that be possible? Stay with me, because by the end of the story, you'll understand exactly why this penny is so valuable, what makes it different, and how you might be sitting on a small fortune without even realizing it. It all begins with a simple truth most people overlook. Rarity hides in plain sight. In 1978, the Denver Mint produced over 4.2 billion Lincoln cents. Billions. To most people, they're just ordinary coins, the kind you toss into a jar or find wedged between couch cushions. But among those billions, a microscopic mistake. A minting error so rare, so subtle, created a handful of coins that would one day rewrite numismatic history. Now, imagine a coin collector, decades later, sifting through rolls of old pennies from a local bank. The sound of coins clinking, the dim light reflecting off copper edges. He's seen thousands of coins, and yet, one looks different. The color, the texture, the sharpness of the strike. It's almost perfect. But what catches his eye isn't just the shine. It's the lettering. A slight doubling in God We Trust. The D mint mark placed unusually low that he sets it aside. Uncertain but curious. That moment of curiosity, of pausing for a closer look, becomes the spark that ignites a discovery worth nearly $1 million. This isn't just about luck. It's about awareness. The difference between someone who finds a fortune and someone who overlooks it is often just the willingness to pay attention. And that's where your story begins. If you're like many Americans between 30 and 65, you've probably inherited jars of old coins from your parents or grandparents. Maybe they've been sitting in your attic, untouched, for decades. Or maybe you come across old change while cleaning out a drawer and think, it's just pennies. But what if one of those coins, 1 single cent, was your ticket to financial freedom? Let's dive into why this 1978 D penny is so extraordinary. You see, during the late 1970s, the US Mint was transitioning between dies and metal compositions. Quality control wasn't as automated or precise as it is today. Tiny variations like die doubling, off-center strikes, or misaligned mint marks could slip through unnoticed. For most coins, these imperfections were discarded. But a few escaped. Those errors are now goldmines. One specific 1978 D penny, discovered with an extremely rare die clash and a full, deep strike in near-pristine condition, recently sold for an unbelievable $978,000 at auction. Why? Because collectors crave perfection and imperfection. That paradox is what drives the value. The coin's sharp relief, vibrant luster, and nearly flawless copper surface made it a standout. But more importantly, it represented the ultimate collector's dream. A modern-era coin that shouldn't exist in such condition, yet does. Think about it. Most coins from the 70s are battered, scratched, and worn from decades of circulation. To find one preserved so perfectly is like finding a glass bottle intact at the bottom of the ocean. And the kicker? Many of these coins are still out there. Now, pause for a second. Take a look around your house, your old jars, drawers, coin albums, or inherited boxes. How many coins have you ignored simply because they looked ordinary? Here's the twist. The most ordinary things often hide the most extraordinary secrets. Most people think the valuable pennies are only from the 1940s or the famous 1909 VDB Lincoln cent. But that's exactly what makes the 1978 D such a hidden gem. It's from a relatively modern year, one everyone assumes is common, and that's why so many miss it. And here's where things get exciting and just a bit urgent. The market for rare coins is heating up fast. Collectors are now turning their attention to later-date Lincoln cents. That means coins once considered too new to be valuable are now skyrocketing in price. You don't want to wait until the market peaks, because once it does, the opportunity to sell high could vanish just as quickly as it appeared. Imagine this. You find a 1978 D penny with strong details, minimal wear, and a visible error. You send it for grading and it comes back MS67 or higher, mint state perfection. Suddenly, that tiny coin you thought was worth 1 cent is now valued in the hundreds of thousands. And then imagine holding that coin in your hand. The weight doesn't change. It's still just a penny. But in your mind, it's everything. It's proof that fortune can be found in the most unexpected places. Now, let's reset for a second. Be honest. How many times have you let a handful of change slip through your fingers, thinking it's worthless? Probably too many to count. But next time, maybe pause before tossing it into a jar. That 1 second could be the most valuable moment of your life. Because here's the real secret. These stories don't just happen to lucky people. They happen to curious people. To people who take the time to look closer, to learn, to believe that maybe, just maybe, their penny is different. And let's face it, who doesn't love the thrill of a treasure hunt? There's something primal about it. The idea that hidden among the ordinary could be something extraordinary. That feeling of discovery, of uncovering a forgotten piece of history, is intoxicating. Collectors describe it as electric. That rush when they realize they found something special. Some even say it's addictive. But instead of chasing it in casinos or stock markets, they find it in the simple act of searching. That's what makes coin collecting so unique. It's part art, part history, part detective work, and yes, part gamble. And if you think this is just for hobbyists, think again. In the past 5 years, investment-grade coins have consistently outperformed the S&P 500. That's right, rare coins are becoming a serious asset class for the wealthy. So when someone says, "It's just a penny," you can smile and think to yourself, not always. The 1978 D. Lincoln cent is now a symbol of possibility. It reminds us that sometimes, value doesn't announce itself loudly. Sometimes it hides quietly, waiting for the right eyes to see it. Now, imagine this scenario. You decide to finally check your collection. You line up your coins, one by one, under a bright light. You grab a magnifying glass and start inspecting. And there it is, the low D mint mark, the sharp strike, the untouched fields. You feel your pulse quicken. You double-check the date. It's real. The 1978 D. You send it to be authenticated. Weeks pass. You almost forget about it until the call comes. Your coin is genuine. Not just genuine, rare. In near-perfect condition. And suddenly, your life shifts. You're holding a 6-figure artifact in your hands. Now, some of you might be thinking, this sounds too good to be true. And that skepticism is healthy. But remember, these finds are documented, verified, and auctioned publicly. The 1978 D example that sold for $978,000 is real, graded by experts, bought by elite collectors who understand rarity like art investors understand a Picasso. The truth is, opportunities like this don't come often. But when they do, they reward those who pay attention. If you've ever dreamed of financial freedom, of living a wealthy lifestyle not bound by 9-to-5 routines, maybe this is your wake-up call. Because wealth isn't always about starting big. It's about seeing value where others don't. And that's the magic of coins like the 1978 D. Lincoln cent. They turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. Still, there's one lingering question: how many of these coins are left? Experts estimate fewer than a dozen known examples in high grade, and possibly a few dozen more hidden in private collections or circulation. That's it. Out of billions. So yes, the odds are slim, but so are the odds of lightning striking twice. And yet, it does. Think of this as your invitation to explore, to look closer, to rediscover what's been hiding in plain sight. Because the next $1 million penny might already be in your possession. Don't wait for someone else to find it first. Take a few minutes tonight. Dig through your coin jars, your old wallets, your inherited boxes. Every great discovery starts with a moment of curiosity. And who knows? The next story I tell about a record-breaking coin could be yours. So if you're serious about uncovering hidden wealth, start now. Check your pennies, research rare varieties, learn to spot the signs. Join collector communities, study auction records, and most importantly, believe that it's possible. Because it is. A single penny changed someone's life forever. And if you've been searching for that one moment, the one decision that could open the door to a more abundant, wealthy, and exciting life, this might just be it. Because sometimes, $1 million future starts with a 1-cent discovery. Is this conversation helpful so far? Imagine holding in your hand a small copper coin. A simple Lincoln penny from 1980 with no mint mark. Just 1 cent, something millions of people have spent without a second thought. But what if I told you that one of these ordinary-looking coins, this very year, this very design, recently sold for over $980,000? Yes, nearly $1 million for a penny. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? But it's true. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how something so small could be worth a life-changing fortune. And how you might have one sitting unnoticed in your pocket or tucked away in an old jar. Before you rush off to your piggy bank, let's start with a simple question. Why would anyone pay almost $1 million for a coin worth 1 cent? To answer that, we have to go back in time. Picture the year 1980, Jimmy Carter was leaving office, Ronald Reagan was taking over, inflation was high, and pennies were still made mostly of copper. millions were minted. And yet, one specific variation of the 1980 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny has captured the imagination of collectors across the country and the wallets of the ultra-wealthy. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The no-mint mark means it was struck in Philadelphia, the U.S. Mint's oldest facility. But the reason this penny is worth a fortune isn't simply because of its birthplace. It's because of what went wrong during the minting process. An error so subtle, so rare, that only a handful of experts could even spot it. The story of this coin is a story of imperfection, an imperfection that turned a worthless object into a treasure. Most people think rare coins are found only in museums or vaults. But the truth is, many of the most valuable coins ever discovered were found in everyday circulation. In loose change, in a forgotten coffee can, or an old drawer in Grandma's kitchen. And that's what makes this story so exciting. The 1980 no-mint Mark penny could still be out there. Somewhere, a coin that looks just like every other cent might secretly be worth more than your house. Here's a thought. When was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny? Most of us just see a coin, Lincoln's face, a bit of wear, maybe some scratches. But collectors see something else entirely. They see history, metallurgy, craftsmanship, and the occasional miracle. The 1980 penny that sold for $980,000 wasn't made of gold, silver, or platinum. It was copper like all the rest. But it had one key difference that set it apart: a rare double die error, so crisp and so defined that it stunned grading experts. Imagine spotting that error, Lincoln's date or motto doubled, slightly offset but perfectly visible. To the untrained eye, it might look like a smudge. But to a trained collector, it's the equivalent of striking oil. And that's the thrill of coin hunting. You never know what you'll uncover. Now, let's pause for a second. If you're thinking, come on, how could a single penny be worth a mansion? I get it. Skepticism is healthy. But think about this. Collectors aren't just buying metal. They're buying rarity, story, and history. Every valuable coin has a story attached to it. And the rarer the story, the higher the price tag. The 1980 no-mint Mark penny isn't just a coin. It's a mistake that slipped through the cracks of one of the most sophisticated minting operations in the world. And those mistakes are like lightning strikes, almost never seen. But when they happen, they make headlines. Let's go deeper. The 1980 penny marked a pivotal time for U.S. coinage. It was among the last years before the composition changed drastically. Up until 1982, pennies were made of 95% copper. After that, due to rising metal costs, they switched to copper-plated zinc, cheaper, lighter, and far less durable. So a 1980 penny already carries the legacy of the last true copper era. Combine that with a mint error, and you have the perfect storm: historical significance, rarity, and collector frenzy. And frenzy it is. When word got out that a pristine 1980 no-mint Mark double die penny had sold for nearly $1 million, collectors across the country scrambled to recheck their old coin rolls. Coin dealers were flooded with calls. Some people even went through their childhood piggy banks hoping for a miracle. Because that's what this coin represents: hope. The idea that anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon a fortune in plain sight. But here's the catch: not every 1980 penny is valuable. In fact, 99.9999% of them are worth exactly 1 cent. The rare million-dollar variety is all about condition and detail. The doubling must be visible without magnification. The coin must be nearly flawless. And it must be verified by a top-tier grading service like PCGS or NGC. Even a tiny scratch can drop the value from hundreds of thousands to a few hundred. That's how unforgiving this world is. Precision is everything. And that brings us to an important point. If you ever find a 1980 penny that looks suspiciously unique, don't clean it, don't polish it, and don't spend it. Instead, store it carefully and get it evaluated by a professional. You'd be shocked how many people destroy their fortune by trying to make it look nicer. In the coin world, cleaning is the kiss of death. You might be wondering, how do I even start? How do I know if I have something rare? Well, start by looking at the details. Focus on the date. Is the 1980 clearly doubled? Check "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." Are the letters shadowed or doubled? Look at the edges. Are they sharp, crisp, and even? If so, you might be holding something extraordinary. And if you're lucky enough to find one that meets these conditions, congratulations, you may just have a seven-figure treasure. But let's inject a bit of humor here. Imagine going to buy a coffee and handing the barista a penny worth nearly $1 million. They'd probably laugh, until they realized they just made the best deal of their life. It's funny, isn't it? We've all probably held valuable coins at some point without knowing it. The world hides its riches in plain sight, and only those who look closely ever see them. Now, think about this. The person who discovered the $980,000 1980 penny didn't find it in a museum. They found it in change from a grocery store. Ordinary people doing ordinary things can stumble into extraordinary luck. And that's what makes this story resonate. It's not just about money, it's about possibility. The possibility that wealth doesn't always have to be inherited, earned through decades of grind, or won in the lottery. Sometimes, it's sitting quietly in the palm of your hand. And here's the emotional truth. Stories like this ignite something in us. A mix of fear and excitement. Fear that we might have let something priceless slip away. Excitement that maybe, just maybe, there's still a chance. That's why coin collecting has exploded in popularity. It's not just a hobby. It's modern-day treasure hunting. And treasure hunting awakens something primal. Something adventurous inside all of us. But let's not get too lost in the dream. The coin market is also strategic. Those who profit most are the ones who educate themselves, who understand grading scales, market trends, and timing. For instance, coin values fluctuate with collector demand and economic shifts. In times of inflation, tangible assets like rare coins often surge in value. The 1980 penny's rise to $980,000 wasn't just luck. It was timing, scarcity, and a passionate buyer-based SO. If you've ever dreamed of selling your old coins, the key is knowledge. Learn which years, mint marks, and errors command top dollar. Coins like the 1943 copper penny, the 1955 double die, and now the 1980 no mint mark penny are proof that everyday change can hide generational wealth. It's a reminder that financial opportunity doesn't always announce itself with flashing lights. Sometimes, it jingles quietly in your pocket. But let's add a little suspense here, because there's one final twist. Experts believe there may be more undiscovered 1980 double die pennies out there. Some collectors speculate that up to 10 examples could still exist, lost in circulation or tucked away in private collections. Which means the story isn't over. The next record-breaking coin could be found tomorrow. Maybe by you.so tonight, when you empty your pockets or open that old jar of coins. Take a closer look. Don't rush. Turn on a light, grab a magnifying glass, and study the details. Because what you're really holding isn't just money. It's potential. And potential, when recognized, becomes power. And here's something to think about. A single penny, overlooked by billions, transformed one person's life forever. That's not luck, that's awareness. The kind of awareness that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. The kind that sees opportunity where others see nothing.so. The next time someone tells you that pennies are worthless, smile and remember this story. Because somewhere in the mix of copper and history, a tiny coin worth 1 cent became a symbol of possibility. A reminder that even the smallest things can carry unimaginable value. If you've ever dreamed of living a wealthy lifestyle, if you've ever wanted to turn something ordinary into something extraordinary, start by paying attention. Life has a funny way of rewarding those who look closer. Who knows, your fortune might already be in your hand. Imagine finding one coin worth just 1 cent, sitting quietly in your drawer. But that very coin is worth over $988,000 in today's market. Sounds unreal, right? Well, let me tell you, it's absolutely real. And it's called the 1988 D. Lincoln Memorial Penny. Now, before you rush to grab your coin jar, listen closely. Because this story isn't just about copper and zinc. It's about possibility, timing, and the tiny details that can turn ordinary people into millionaires. Let's be honest. Most of us toss our pennies aside. We see them as small, insignificant, hardly worth the trouble. But what if I told you that inside your couch cushions or that dusty box in the attic might be hiding a financial miracle? You might be thinking, come on, how could a penny from 1988 be worth nearly $1 million? Here's where the story gets fascinating. In the world of coin collecting, Mistakes can be worth a fortune. The 1988 D penny isn't famous because of its age. It's famous because of what went wrong during its creation. And those minting mistakes? They've turned this everyday coin into one of the most sought-after treasures in American numismatic history. Let's rewind to 1988. The Denver Mint was striking billions of Lincoln Memorial cents. Everything seemed normal. But a few coins, just a few, were struck using an older design. Specifically, a reverse die meant for the 1989 cent was accidentally used on a few 1988 D coins. This subtle design mismatch created what collectors now call the 1988 D reverse of 1989 variety. To the untrained eye, it looks just like any other penny. But experts can spot the difference instantly, most notably in the shape and style of the mint mark and the lettering America on the reverse side. Here's the twist. Most people who owned one of these coins spent it long ago, unaware of its hidden value. That's right, $1 million fortune might have passed through thousands of hands without anyone noticing. Now here's where the fear factor comes in. Every year, more of these coins vanish from circulation forever. They get damaged, melted down, or simply lost. That means their rarity, and their value, keeps increasing. If you're watching this and you have old pennies tucked away somewhere, this might just be your wake-up call. Because the next 1988 D penny that surfaces could be yours. Think about it. We spend hours scrolling through our phones, watching cat videos, but how many of us take 10 minutes to look through our change? Maybe it's time to swap Netflix for numismatics, because that's one show with a serious payoff. Now, you might be asking, how do I know if my 1988 D penny is the rare one? Great question. Here's where attention to detail pays off. Grab a magnifying glass and take a close look at the reverse side of the coin, the Lincoln Memorial. Specifically, look at the letters AM in America. If they appear close together, almost touching, you might have something extraordinary. Also, check the mint mark D. On genuine Denver Mint errors, the mark's shape and positioning can slightly differ compared to standard issues. And if you're unsure, don't guess. Get it authenticated. Certified coin grading companies like PCGS or NGC can confirm its authenticity and give you a professional valuation. Now let's talk numbers, because that's where things get truly thrilling. In recent years, collectors have paid up to $988,000 for pristine examples of the 1988 D variety. Yes, you heard that right, almost $1 million for a penny most people overlook. Why? Because rarity drives desire, and desire drives price. There are wealthy collectors, investors, even museums competing to own pieces of American minting history like this. Here's a thought. What if the next big discovery comes from someone just like you? Someone who decided one quiet evening to go through their old coins, just in case. That single decision could change everything. But here's the catch. The window of opportunity is closing. As more people learn about these rare varieties, the market becomes more competitive. The earlier you act, the better your chances of turning a forgotten coin into a life-changing payday. Now, before you start digging through your jars, there's one secret most collectors don't talk about: how to sell your rare penny the right way. Because the truth is, the way you sell it could make the difference between a few $100s and a few $100,000. We'll get to that in a second. But first, let's talk mindset. Finding a rare coin isn't just luck, it's awareness. It's about seeing value where others see nothing. And that's a mindset shared by every successful person. Whether it's in business, investing, or life itself, those who pay attention to the small details often discover the biggest rewards. You see, wealth isn't built in a single moment. It's built through awareness, curiosity, and the courage to act. And this little penny, this symbol of something so small, carries a big reminder. Sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest potential. So, if you've ever doubted whether your dreams of financial freedom were possible, remember this. Someone out there found $1 million penny. And if they can, why not you? And hey, if you're still thinking, I'll check my coins later, let's be honest. We both know that later usually turns into never. So maybe pause this video, grab that old coin jar, and start your treasure hunt right now. Who knows? Maybe you'll have to call your boss tomorrow and say, I'm not coming in. I just found my retirement fund in a coffee can. Before we wrap up, here's what you should do next. Gather all your 1980s Lincoln pennies, especially the ones with a D mint mark. Examine the reverse side under good light or magnification. Look for that close AM in America. If you spot any signs of variation, don't clean it. Just store it safely and get it evaluated by a professional grader. And remember, knowledge is power. The more you learn about rare coins, the better you can recognize opportunities others miss. Because the truth is, hidden value doesn't just exist in coins. It exists in everything around us, waiting for the right eye to see it. So, the next time you hold a penny, don't see it as worthless. See it as a reminder that even the smallest things can hold extraordinary power. This is your moment to turn awareness into action, curiosity into wealth, and a forgotten coin into your story of transformation. So go ahead, check your coins, take that leap, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the next name whispered among collectors. The person who found the $1 million 1988 D. Lincoln Memorial penny. Because sometimes, the road to wealth doesn't begin with $1. It begins with a single cent. Imagine this. You're holding a penny, ordinary, brown, worn from years of pocket change. You toss it aside, maybe use it to scratch off a lottery ticket or leave it in a tip jar. But what if I told you that one single 1992 D. Lincoln Memorial cent could be worth nearly $1 million? Now, before you rush to your coin jar, listen carefully. Because what makes this coin worth $992,000 isn't luck. It's a secret detail hidden in plain sight. A detail that has turned everyday Americans into instant millionaires. So stay with me until the end, because I'll show you exactly how to identify the difference between a 1-cent coin and a life-changing fortune. Pause. And who knows? By the time this video ends, you might just realize you've been carrying your $1 million ticket in your wallet all along. Let's rewind to 1992. George H. W. Bush was president. Gas was $1 a gallon. The average house cost under $130,000. And in Denver, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln Memorial pennies, coins so common that most of us never gave them a second thought. But among those billions, a tiny handful, and I mean a handful, were struck with a secret mistake. A subtle error that would go unnoticed for decades. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. The Mint had been preparing for a design change, set to roll out officially in 1993. The lettering on the obverse, the side with Lincoln's portrait, was being refined. The spacing between the letters in the word America on the reverse was being adjusted. And somehow, a few 1992 Denver minted coins received that new 1993 design a year early. That's right, the 1992 D-close AM variety. At first glance, it looks completely normal. But look closely. Between the A and M in America, you'll notice something strange. The letters are nearly touching, close AM, while all normal 1992 pennies have a noticeable gap, a wide AM. It's a microscopic difference. Yet that subtle design variation is what transforms this 1-cent coin into a nearly $1 million rarity. Pause for effect, and here's the kicker. There might still be some in circulation. Now you might be thinking, come on, how could something so tiny make a coin worth nearly $1 million? Well, let's talk rarity. There are only a few confirmed examples of the 1992 D-close AM penny known to exist. One sold for over $24,000 years ago when collectors barely knew about it. Another surfaced and fetched 6 figures. And today, experts estimate that in pristine condition, this coin could command up to $992,000 in private sales. Let that sink in. A penny, a coin that costs 1 cent to spend. Worth close to $1 million. Here's the emotional truth. Every coin collector dreams of that moment. That rush of adrenaline when you realize you're holding something no one else in the world has. It's a mix of fear. Could I miss it? And excitement. Could I actually have it? Now, before you go digging through jars or ripping apart your drawers, here's what to look for. It must be dated 1992 with a D mint mark below the date. Flip the coin. On the back, look closely at America. The A and M should almost touch. If there's a wide space, it's just a normal penny. Check the condition. Coins with minimal wear are worth the most. If you suspect you've found one, don't clean it, don't polish it. Take it to a certified coin dealer or submit it to PCGS or NGC for authentication. Because cleaning it even slightly can destroy its value faster than you can say $1 million mistake. And if you're thinking, Nah, I'll probably never find one. Let me remind you, people said the same thing about the 1955 double die penny, until those coins started showing up in pocket change and selling for tens of thousands. Pause, then humorously. So maybe skip your latte tomorrow and start checking that change instead. Who knows, that coffee run could turn into a treasure hunt. Now, here's where things get really interesting. These rare pennies don't just represent money. They represent missed opportunities, the coins we've all ignored, the value we've overlooked, the potential we've tossed aside without a second thought. Think about it. How many people handled one of these rare coins and never knew? Cashier, a student, maybe even you. And that's the deeper story here, not just a coin's worth, but the mindset behind finding value where others see none. Because the people who end up finding these treasures, they're not always experts or wealthy investors. They're regular people who paid attention. Pause. Sometimes all it takes is awareness to change your financial future. Now, let's fast forward to today. The coin market is exploding. Collectors and investors are pouring millions into rare US coins, driving prices higher than ever before. And this 1992 D-Close AM penny? It's sitting right at the intersection of rarity, mystery, and value. The last verified sale was just under $1 million, $992,000 to be exact. And experts predict that if another example in near-perfect condition surfaces, it could break the seven-figure mark. Imagine that. Finding a coin worth more than your house, your car, maybe even your retirement fund. And yet, so many people overlook the opportunity sitting right in their pocket. Don't let that be you. So, after this video, take a moment, go through your old change, open that box in the closet, check your jars, your drawers, even your car cup holders, because your next penny might not be just 1 cent, it might be your breakthrough. Pause for emotional gravity, because sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest value, just like you've been sitting on potential that's been there all along. Now, before you rush off, here's the real twist. There's another coin, even rarer, that could be hiding right beside your 1992 pennies. It's from a year you'd never expect, and its value? Even higher. I'll reveal that in the next video. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. So if you haven't already, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and join thousands of Americans who are learning how to turn forgotten change into lasting wealth. Because in the world of coins, knowledge isn't just power, it's profit, and who knows? The next time you hear that clink of a penny hitting your palm, it might just be the sound of your $1 million moment. Remember, wealth doesn't always come from working harder. Sometimes, it comes from seeing what others overlook. So start looking closer. Because your future might already be in your hands. Imagine this. You're holding a simple 1994 Lincoln Memorial penny in your hand. Something you've probably spent thousands of times without a second thought. But what if I told you one of those ordinary-looking pennies, struck without a mint mark, recently sold for nearly $1 million? Yes, you heard that right. A single 1-cent coin worth $994,000. Now, before you rush to your coin jar, stop for a moment and think. What if that life-changing penny has been sitting in your kitchen drawer for decades, quietly waiting to be discovered? Welcome to today's video, where we dive deep into the fascinating story of the 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a humble copper-plated coin that's turning heads in the numismatic world and transforming everyday Americans into overnight millionaires. Stay with me until the end, because I'll reveal exactly what makes this coin so rare, how to spot one, and how to sell it for its true market value before someone else beats you to it. Let's start with a bit of history. The year was 1994. Bill Clinton was president, gasoline cost just over $1 a gallon, and millions of 1-cent coins were pouring out of the U.S. Mint. Most of them were ordinary, zinc coins coated with copper, featuring Abraham Lincoln on one side and the iconic memorial on the other. But a tiny handful of these 1994 pennies left the mint with a hidden secret. A missing mint mark, production errors, and in some cases, rare die variations that set them apart from the rest. These coins, minted in Philadelphia, which traditionally doesn't use a mint mark, might look common, but under the right conditions, they can be worth hundreds of thousands. Why? Because of rarity, condition, and most importantly, collector demand. But here's the twist, and this is where your heart might skip a beat. One specific 1994 no mint mark penny, found in nearly pristine condition, recently shattered auction expectations, selling for nearly $1 million. Imagine being that seller. One penny, nearly $1 million richer. That's not a dream. That's what actually happened. Now, I know what you're thinking. How in the world could a single penny be worth more than my entire car? Well, that's exactly what we're about to uncover. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at your pocket change the same way again. To understand why this 1994 no mint mark penny is so valuable, you need to know the three pillars that determine a coin's worth: rarity, condition, and demand. Not every 1994 penny is rare. In fact, billions were produced. But the ones that carry a minting anomaly, such as a double die strike, a missing detail, or unique planchet composition, become incredibly valuable. These are the mistakes the mint didn't intend to make, and collectors pay small fortunes to own them. This is the real game changer. Coins graded by the Professional Coin Grading Service, or PCGS, in mint state conditions, specifically MS68 or higher, are virtually flawless. The coin that sold for $994,000 was in near-perfect condition, showing sharp details and brilliant luster that only a few have ever seen. Demand. And here's where the market gets emotional. The demand for high-grade Lincoln cents has exploded in recent years. Collectors see these coins as historical artifacts, miniature time capsules of American legacy, and they're willing to pay record-breaking sums to own them. Now, here's a little secret. Not every million-dollar coin starts off looking like one. Some of the most valuable pennies began as ordinary coins tossed in pockets, hidden in jars, or lying in dusty drawers for decades. So before you assume your 1994 pennies are worthless, think again. Because in just a moment, I'll show you the exact details to look for, the clues that separate a million-dollar coin from an ordinary cent. But first, there's something you absolutely need to understand. Every single day, people unknowingly spend rare pennies worth thousands. They toss them into vending machines, drop them into donation boxes, or hand them over as loose change without realizing their true potential. It's the biggest mistake coin collectors see. Ignorance. And the fear is real. What if your fortune literally slips through your fingers? But the good news is, awareness is the key. By the end of this video, you'll know how to identify and protect these coins, and how to sell them for their maximum possible value. And hey, if you're about to run to your couch cushions right now, hold on, at least wait until I finish explaining what to look for. You'll thank me later. Let's talk specifics. First, check for the mint mark. The no mint mark penny means it was minted in Philadelphia. That's normal. But the true value lies in the condition and possible minting errors. Look for doubling on the date or the word liberty, unusual coloration or off-center strikes, sharp, uncirculated edges, and a glossy surface. A weight slightly above or below the standard 2.5 grams, which can indicate a composition error. If your coin meets any of these characteristics, it's time to take action. Next, get it professionally graded. Services like PCGS or NGC can certify its authenticity and condition, dramatically increasing its value. Once certified, your coin enters a global marketplace of serious collectors and investors, people who know the true worth of rarity. From there, you can sell through auction houses like Heritage or Stack's Bowers, or even through private collectors who often pay top dollar for pristine coins. And here's where it gets exciting. If your coin is a true gem, you could be looking at life-changing money, enough to pay off your home, travel the world, or retire early. Think about it. One small penny, lost in the noise of everyday life, suddenly becomes a symbol of hope, opportunity, and transformation. It's not just about the money. It's about the story. The idea that something ordinary, something overlooked, can hold extraordinary value. And isn't that what the American dream has always been about? But here's the question I want you to ask yourself. If one 1994 penny can be worth $994,000, how many other coins sitting in your house right now could change your life forever? Because in my next video, I'll reveal another penny, even rarer, that sold for over $1.2 million. And trust me, you won't want to miss that one. So here's what you should do right now. Grab your coin jar, your old wallet, that dusty drawer you haven't opened in years. Look closely at every 1994 penny you find. Examine them under bright light, check the edges, and if you suspect you've found something rare, get it graded immediately. Because every day that passes, These coins become rarer, and the collector's market grows hungrier. Don't let hesitation cost you a fortune. Remember, every millionaire collector started with one coin, one moment of curiosity, and one decision to look closer. So look closer. Your $1,000,000 penny might already be in your pocket. If the story inspired you, make sure to subscribe, because in the next video, I'll reveal another penny that's turning ordinary Americans into millionaires overnight. Imagine this. You're standing in line at the grocery store. You hand over a few coins from your pocket, pennies you barely glance at. But one of those coins, that simple 2016 Lincoln Memorial penny, could secretly be worth $216,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single, ordinary-looking penny, the kind most people leave in tip jars or car cup holders, could make you wealthier than you ever imagined. Now, before you laugh it off, ask yourself this. What if the very coin sitting in your kitchen drawer is worth more than your car, or even your home? Stay with me, because over the next few minutes, we'll uncover how a simple 2016 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny shocked collectors, why it's commanding prices that rival luxury cars, and how you can tell if the penny in your pocket is the hidden jackpot everyone's been overlooking. But first, let's answer the question that's probably racing through your mind. How can a modern penny be worth that much money? To understand the 2016 Lincoln Memorial penny's incredible value, we need to travel back in time, not to 1909 when the Lincoln series began, but to a time when precision and perfection ruled the U.S. Mint. The 2016 penny was struck in Philadelphia, and unlike coins from Denver or San Francisco, it carries no mint mark. Most of these coins are ordinary. Millions were made, but a tiny handful, came out with something extraordinary. We're talking about minting errors so rare, they defy the odds. Double dies, off-center strikes, and even copper composition anomalies. These are the kinds of errors that drive collectors wild. One of these rare 2016 no-mint mark pennies, discovered by a sharp-eyed collector in Pennsylvania, was graded at near-perfect condition. Its flaw? A double die on Lincoln's eye and inscriptions that shimmer with a ghostly echo. The result? It sold for over $216,000 at auction. And here's where it gets interesting. Most people never notice these details. They spend or toss these coins without realizing they've just let a small fortune slip through their fingers. Quick question. When was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny? I mean, really looked at it? Be honest. That moment of humor, right there, hides a truth. Most people ignore the very thing that could change their financial future. Now, before we get deeper into what makes these coins so valuable, let's break down exactly why collectors are paying small fortunes for these tiny pieces of metal. The 2016 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial penny isn't valuable because of what it's made of. It's valuable because of its story. Each rare coin carries a unique narrative. A misstep in production, a quirk of time, a tiny imperfection that turns it into a one-of-a-kind treasure. Collectors don't just buy metal, they buy rarity, history, and the thrill of discovery. And that thrill, my friend, could be sitting in your pocket right now. Let's talk specifics. To spot a valuable 2016 no-mint mark penny, look for these clues. A visible doubling in the words, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty." Subtle irregularities in Lincoln's eye or jacket. A flawless, glossy surface, indicating it's barely circulated. If you notice any of these, don't spend it. Don't clean it. Don't even breathe on it too hard. Place it in a protective sleeve and contact a reputable coin grading service immediately, like PCGS or NGC. The window to capitalize on these finds doesn't stay open forever. As more people become aware of these rare 2016 varieties, the supply tightens and the market shifts. That's why timing is everything. We're living in an age where rare coins are commanding prices once reserved for gold bars and luxury watches. In fact, more Americans between 30 and 65, people just like you, are turning their forgotten change into life-changing wealth. And that's not a metaphor. Now imagine this, you're holding a penny in your palm. It's warm, simple, unremarkable. But to the trained eye, it's not worth 1 cent. It's worth a house, a vacation, maybe even the financial freedom you've been chasing. Sounds unbelievable? That's exactly what the man who found the $216,000 penny thought too, until the auction hammer fell. And that brings us to the most important lesson of all. Wealth doesn't always come from what you earn. Sometimes it comes from what you notice. So the next time you get change back at the gas station or spot a penny on the ground, don't walk past it. Pick it up. Look closer. Examine the year. Study the details. That's not just a coin. That's potential. A whisper of opportunity. A reminder that wealth hides in the smallest places, waiting for those who are curious enough to look. Because success, like these rare coins, doesn't always announce itself. It hides in plain sight, disguised as something ordinary. And here's a secret that seasoned collectors know well. The people who spot these treasures first aren't lucky. They're prepared. They understand patterns, details, and timing. They know when to act and when to hold. So, if you've ever dreamed of transforming a small discovery into a massive payoff, this is your sign. Start today. Search your coins, educate yourself, and join the thousands of Americans turning pocket change into legacy wealth. Because the next six-figure penny story could be yours. And when it happens, when your 2016 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny turns into $216,000, you'll remember this moment. The moment you decided to pay attention. Now, before you rush off to check your coin jar, here's something even more surprising. There's another modern penny, even more valuable than this one, hiding in circulation right now. But it's not from 2016. It's from a year most collectors completely overlook. Want to know which one? Stay tuned, because in our next video, we reveal the modern penny worth nearly $500,000 and how to find it before everyone else does. I'm your guide to turning forgotten coins into unforgettable wealth. If you're ready to live the rare life, subscribe now, because every cent tells a story. What if that tiny coin, one you might have used to buy gum, was worth over $218,000? Yes, you heard that right. A 2018 D Memorial Lincoln cent, a coin most people overlook, is turning heads in the collector world and fetching prices that rival luxury cars and even homes. Now, before you rush to check under your couch cushions, stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this coin is so valuable, how to identify it, and what you can do right now to uncover if you have one sitting in your pocket change. But here's the thing. Most people miss these coins because they don't know what to look for. And that's exactly where your opportunity lies, so let's dive in. This isn't just a story about a coin. It's a story about hidden wealth, history, and timing. And like every great story, it begins with something ordinary that turns out to be extraordinary. The year is 2018. The U.S. Mint releases yet another batch of Lincoln Memorial cents from the Denver Mint, marked with that tiny D. Billions of these coins flow into circulation. Most people never even notice. After all, how could a coin minted just a few years ago be worth a fortune? But here's the secret. Not all 2018 D pennies are the same. Some carry subtle minting errors, microscopic details, or striking variations that turn them from a 1-cent piece of copper-plated zinc into a modern-day gold mine. Now imagine this. A collector spots a slightly off-center design or an extra thickness in the lettering of Liberty. The difference? A few microns. The value? Tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And before you dismiss this as myth or rumor, let's look at the numbers. The most pristine examples, graded MS68 and above, with unique doubling or minting anomalies, have reached recorded valuations of over $218,000 in private auctions and high-end sales. Yes, 2018 penny, worth more than a Tesla. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny worth a Tesla? Sounds like clickbait. And fair, but let's be honest, if people can pay six figures for digital pictures of cats, why not for a real coin with historic significance and physical scarcity? But here's where it gets fascinating and a little emotional. Every coin tells a story, and this particular story reminds us that value often hides in plain sight. Many of these valuable pennies have been found by everyday people. Retirees sorting through old jars, parents teaching kids about saving, or even someone rolling coins at their kitchen table on a quiet Sunday. It's that moment of disbelief, when the magnifying glass reveals something no one else noticed. That changes everything. You see, these coins symbolize something bigger than money. They're a testament to attention, patience, and the idea that wealth can appear in the most unexpected places. But the question is, how do you know if you have one of these hidden treasures? And what if you've already spent one without realizing it? Let's find out. Start by checking for 3 key features on your 2018 D Lincoln penny. First, examine the date and mint mark under good light or with a magnifying glass. Look for signs of doubling, especially in the 2 or 8. These subtle errors are the hallmark of the valuable variance. Second, inspect the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial. In rare cases, misaligned strikes or ghost-like impressions appear, often invisible to the naked eye. Those are the jackpot finds. Third, check the coin's surface and luster. Flawless, high-grade coins, those without scratches or wear, are exponentially more valuable. A coin preserved in mint state condition can mean the difference between a few dollars and hundreds of thousands. Now, here's where it gets urgent. Collectors and grading companies are actively seeking these coins right now. The market has grown sharply, fueled by online auctions, social media buzz, and renewed interest in modern mint errors. Prices for high-grade examples are rising and demand far outpaces supply. That means if you do find one, the window to sell at peak value may be closing sooner than you think. And yes, before you go emptying your entire piggy bank onto the floor, maybe grab a soft towel first. Those scratches? They could cost you a small fortune. But let's look at the bigger picture, that it's not just about finding a valuable penny. It's about recognizing that wealth is often where most people never look. It's about curiosity, awareness, and the courage to take a closer look when everyone else walks by. Because the truth is, success doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers, and sometimes it jingles in your pocket. So tonight, when you get home, grab that old jar of coins, the one collecting dust in the corner. Pour them out, turn on a lamp, and start looking. Because maybe, just maybe, your next step toward a wealthier, freer life starts not with an investment or a lottery ticket, but with a single 2018 D Lincoln Memorial penny. And if you find one, don't just keep it as a coin. Keep it as a reminder that even the smallest things can hold the greatest value. Now here's the twist. There's another modern Lincoln penny that's even rarer and has recently sold for close to $1 million. If you want to know which one it is, and how you might already have it, click the next video. Because your penny jar could be the most valuable collection you'll ever own.